Hi, and welcome to English-Fabule. Are you learning English? Great. Let's learn English with a very interesting story. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Let's get started.
Imagine a man from South Korea, Park Jin-woo. He was in Dublin, Ireland in 2019. He felt a strange, strong feeling. It was like he had come home, even though he had never visited Ireland before. This feeling is not just for Park. Many people traveling between Ireland and South Korea find surprising similarities. A student from Korea in Cork or an Irish engineer in Seoul might feel this strange sense of knowing. These two nations are on opposite sides of the world, separated by 8,000 kilometers. They had almost no contact until recent times. Yet their stories are very similar. Both Ireland and South Korea were once among the poorest countries. But in a short time, they became rich and powerful. This amazing change happened within one generation. They also share a challenging history. Both were controlled by powerful neighbors. This is called colonization. These bigger countries tried to change their language and culture. Later, both nations suffered from a sad division into two parts. In Ireland, this created Northern Ireland. In Korea, it created North and South Korea. These events caused much sorrow and forced many people to leave their homes and live abroad. Despite these struggles, both countries have made a big mark on the world. Irish writers are famous, and Korean pop music and movies are loved globally. This book will look at this surprising connection. It will ask, why do these two very different countries have such a similar and powerful story? We will explore their shared path of struggle, growth, and the true cost of their success. 2. A difficult past. For a long time, Ireland and Korea were not free. Bigger countries controlled them. These powerful rulers wanted the smaller nations to forget their own ways. They wanted to make them more like themselves. In Ireland, Great Britain held power for many centuries. The British government made rules that hurt Irish culture. For example, in the past, a law made it illegal for English settlers in Ireland to speak the Irish language, Gaelic. Later, the schools taught only in English. Irish children were often punished if they spoke their native tongue. This was a strong effort to take away their identity and traditions and break their spirit. Great Britain also took economic resources from Ireland. During a very terrible famine in the 1840s, millions of Irish people suffered greatly. Many died, and many more had to leave their homes to find food. Even during this time, food grown in Ireland was still sent to Great Britain. This event, known as the Great Famine, left a lasting mark of betrayal. It showed that the rulers put their own needs first, even when Irish people were starving. Far across the world, Korea faced a similar hardship. Japan took control of Korea in 1910. The Japanese government also worked to erase Korean culture. They made Koreans change their family names to Japanese names. They banned the Korean language from public places and schools in 1940. Traditional Korean holidays, music, and art were stopped. They even tried to change Korean history books to make them seem closer to Japan. They aimed to make Koreans forget their own proud heritage. Japan also took much from Korea for its own growth. They carried out a survey to take Korean farming lands. The rice that Koreans grew was sent to Japan, leaving Koreans with less food. Raw materials like coal and iron were taken from Korea to help Japan's factories. Korea's economy was made to serve Japan, not its own people. This shared history of control created deep pain for both countries. The Irish and Korean people felt a big sadness, known as a type of collective sorrow. They felt that their identity and way of life were under attack. Their colonizers wanted to make them feel inferior and less capable. This difficult past made them want their freedom more than anything. They strongly wished to govern themselves and protect their unique cultures. These scars from the past shaped who they are today, building a strong desire to be independent and whole, eager to write their own future without foreign control. 3. A divided home. Both Ireland and Korea know the deep sadness of being split. Their countries were divided, which caused much pain and problems that lasted for a long time. These divisions separated families and forced many people to leave their homes to find a better life in other countries. In Ireland, this happened in 1921. The island was cut into two parts, Northern Ireland and Southern Ireland. Northern Ireland stayed with the United Kingdom. Southern Ireland became independent. This division made many people unhappy. It led to a vicious civil war from 1922 to 1923. During this time, brothers fought brothers, and friends became enemies. The sadness and anger from this division stayed for many generations. Even today, people in Ireland remember this difficult time and the long-lasting conflicts it created. Korea's division happened in 1945. After a big war, two American officers drew a line on a map. This line, called the 38th parallel, split Korea into two countries, North Korea and South Korea. Korean leaders were not asked about this important decision. This split was meant to be for a short time, but it quickly became permanent. 5 years later, in 1950, North Korean soldiers invaded the South. This started the terrible Korean War, which killed millions of people and destroyed much of the land. Most sadly, the war separated millions of families. A mother in the South could not see her children in the North again. A father in the North lost contact with his brothers and sisters in the South. This heartbreaking separation continues today, making many Koreans feel incomplete. These deep divisions also caused many people to leave their homelands. In Ireland, a terrible event called the Great Famine happened in the 1840s. Over 2 million people left the country because there was no food and no hope. They traveled on crowded, dangerous ships, often called coffin ships, to America, Canada, and other places. Many died during these journeys. By 1890, almost half of all Irish-born people were living abroad, far from their families and their home. Koreans also left their country in large numbers. After the Korean War, thousands of Korean women who married American soldiers moved to the United States. Many thousands of orphaned children were also adopted internationally. Later, from 1965 to 1990, many more Koreans moved to America and other countries. They looked for work and a safer future because of difficult economic and political situations in South Korea. For both nations, these divisions and the need to emigrate brought great sorrow and the loss of family and community. These events fundamentally changed how people felt about their country and themselves. It was a very high price to pay for a divided home. 4. Making a lot of money. Both Ireland and South Korea saw incredible changes. Not long ago, these two countries were quite poor. Many of their people worked in farming and lived simply. But then something truly amazing happened in a short time. Both nations became rich and modern. This strong economic growth happened quickly, surprising many people around the world. They went from being among the poorest in their areas to being very wealthy in just one generation. Ireland's fast growth was called the Celtic Tiger. In 1988, a famous magazine described Ireland as poorest of the rich, meaning it was the least rich of all rich countries. But only 9 years later, in 1997, the same magazine praised Ireland as Europe's shining light. Its economy grew very, very fast, at almost 10% each year between 1995 and 2000. Ireland made its corporate taxes very low, which helped attract many foreign companies. Big American tech companies like Google, Apple, and Microsoft came to Ireland to open their European offices. Pharmaceutical companies also moved there. Ireland's people were also well educated and spoke English, which was a big help. Being part of the European Union also gave Ireland money and access to a large market. Dublin quickly became an important place for technology businesses. Far away, South Korea was also going through its own great change. In 1962, South Korea was one of the poorest countries in the world. The Korean War had left the country in ruins. But in the 1960s, under the leadership of President Park Chung-hee, South Korea started a plan to build its industries. This plan became known as the Miracle on the Han River. The government played a big role, helping big family-owned businesses called chaebols to grow. Companies like Samsung, Hyundai, and LG became very powerful. The government gave them special help and loans to make products for export. Like Ireland, South Korea also spent a lot on education, creating a highly skilled workforce ready for new industries. It focused on making goods to sell to other countries. The results of these efforts were truly impressive for both nations.
By 2019, South Korea had grown into one of the 12 largest economies in the world. It moved from receiving help from other countries to giving it. Both Ireland and South Korea changed completely. They went from being poor countries focused on farms to rich, modern nations known for high technology and industry. This quick change, happening in just one generation, showed how small countries could achieve great things and compete with much bigger economies. 5. The cost of success. The fast growth in Ireland and South Korea brought new problems. Getting rich quickly had a high price for many people. In Ireland, the good times of the Celtic Tiger did not last forever. Banks gave out too much money easily. People borrowed a lot to buy houses and build new places. House prices went very, very high.
This was like a big money bubble. Banks were not careful enough when they loaned money. Many people worked in building houses. In 2008, a big financial crisis happened around the world. It hit Ireland very hard. The government had to give a huge amount of money to the country's banks. This was more than the whole country earned in a year. Ireland then needed help from other European countries and the International Monetary Fund. Many people lost their jobs, and house prices fell very fast. The dream of the Celtic Tiger ended badly. South Korea also faced a big money problem. This was in 1997 and was called the Asian financial crisis. Many big companies, known as chaebols, had borrowed a lot of money from other countries to grow. But many of these companies had too much debt. Korean banks had lent a lot to these struggling chaebols. When foreign investors started to take their money out of South Korea, the won quickly lost its value. The government asked the International Monetary Fund for help, which gave a very large loan. But this help came with strong rules. Many companies closed, and many people lost their jobs quickly. It was a very hard time for South Korea, remembered as the IMF crisis. Beyond money problems, success brought other difficult costs. In both countries, students feel huge pressure to do very well in school. In South Korea, this pressure is extremely strong. Students go to regular school and then to special cram schools late into the night. Their future often depends on one very hard test, called the CSAT, to get into university. Preparing for this test takes years and causes much stress for young people. Sadly, both societies developed high stress levels. In South Korea, the suicide rate is very high, one of the highest among developed countries. Suicide is the main cause of death for people aged 10 to 39. This is partly because of the intense pressure to succeed in school and work. Ireland also sees many young people with stress and anxiety about their studies and future jobs. The fast economic growth made some rich, but it also made life harder for many others. Success had a very high price for many families and individuals. 6. Sadness and art. Both Ireland and South Korea hold special, deep feelings in their cultures. In Korea, there is a word called han.
It means a deep feeling of sorrow and anger from unfair things that happened. It is also a sense of feeling helpless against big problems. This feeling of Han comes from Korea's long past of being controlled by others, wars, and being split into two countries. It is a very important part of Korean identity, a sadness passed down through many years. Irish culture has a very similar feeling, often called melancholy. You can hear this sad beauty in Irish music and read it in their stories. It often talks about loss, being far from home, and things that did not happen. Irish writers often thought about feeling lost or betrayed. These feelings of sadness in both countries come from their shared hard pasts. Both peoples experienced a difficult history, division, and many people had to leave their homes. From this deep sadness, both countries created powerful art. They turned their pain into beautiful cultural expressions that people all over the world can understand. Ireland, a small country, has had a very big influence on world literature. Writers like James Joyce and W.B. Yeats, who won the Nobel Prize, changed how stories and poems were written. Other famous writers include Samuel Beckett, Oscar Wilde, and George Bernard Shaw. Ireland has won 4 Nobel Prizes in literature, which is a lot for a country of its size. South Korea also saw a huge rise in its culture, called the Korean Wave or Hallyu. This includes K-pop music groups like BTS and Blackpink, popular Korean TV shows called K-dramas, and movies. Millions of people around the world listen to K-pop. Korean films have also become famous. For example, Parasite was the first non-English movie to win the top award at the Oscars. K-dramas like Squid Game have also been watched by many people globally. Both Ireland and South Korea took their unique histories of pain, struggle, and strength. They used these experiences to create art that speaks to everyone. Their powerful stories and songs help people worldwide understand deep human feelings of loss, hope, and what it means to be who you are. 7. Learning from a friend. Ireland and South Korea now face different challenges. Their futures are beginning to move in separate directions. Ireland is still dealing with the effects of Brexit. When the United Kingdom left the European Union, Northern Ireland voted to stay. This has created new questions about borders and the idea of a united Ireland. Many people in Northern Ireland, especially younger citizens, now support a single Irish nation. However, bringing the two parts of Ireland together would be very difficult, needing big changes to politics, society, and money matters. South Korea lives with constant danger from North Korea. North Korea has nuclear weapons and has become closer with Russia, which makes the region less safe. South Korea also has to balance its strong economic ties with China and its security friendship with the United States. Inside South Korea, the country has the world's lowest birth rate. This means very few babies are born, which could lead to a much smaller population in the future. Also, there are more older people, but South Korea is not very open to people coming from other countries. The two nations can learn important lessons from each other. South Korea can look at Ireland to understand the good things that immigration can bring. Ireland welcomes people from other countries, which helps its population grow and keeps its economy strong. South Korea is less open to new people, and this might harm its future growth. Ireland also managed to lessen the power of one very strong institution, the Catholic Church. South Korea's big companies, called chaebols, still have a lot of power. Ireland's experience could offer ideas for a better balance. Ireland, on the other hand, can learn from South Korea about building strong local businesses. Ireland relies a lot on big foreign companies. If these companies decide to leave, it can cause problems for Ireland's economy. South Korea worked hard to grow its own big companies like Samsung and LG, making them world leaders. Ireland could learn from South Korea's focus on creating its own technology and new ideas instead of just hosting foreign tech companies. Both countries must also think about the cost of their success. Students in South Korea face huge pressure to do well in school, leading to much stress and high suicide rates. Ireland has also seen many young people leave the country in the past to find work. Both nations have become very successful, but they need to find ways for their people to live happier, less stressful lives. Their stories show that getting rich quickly can sometimes come with a very high price. 8. Two countries, one story. This final chapter looks back at the amazing link between two faraway places, Ireland and South Korea. They are like two mirrors showing each other a shared path. A Korean man named Park Jin-woo once felt a strange connection in Dublin. He felt like he was home, even though he had never been there before. This feeling shows how alike these two countries really are.
Both nations lived under the rule of bigger powers, like Great Britain in Ireland and Japan in Korea. Their languages and ways of life were sometimes in danger. Then their lands were split in two. This caused much pain and separated many families. Because of these hard times, many people from both countries had to leave their homes. They traveled far away to find new lives. This made a big global family for both Ireland and Korea, with millions living abroad. After a long struggle, both countries became very rich, very fast. Ireland had its Celtic Tiger years, and South Korea saw its miracle on the Han River. They went from being poor farming countries to having strong modern economies in just one generation. Big companies and new ideas helped them grow quickly. But this quick success also brought new problems. Financial crashes hit both countries, and people faced a lot of pressure, leading to stress and sadness. They learned that getting rich can have a real cost for people's lives. Still, Ireland and South Korea never lost their spirit. They used their deep feelings and past hurts to create beautiful art that touched the world. Irish writers like James Joyce became famous around the globe. South Korean artists brought K-pop music and movies like Parasite to millions. Both nations showed that small countries can make a huge impact on the world.
not just with money, but with culture. Their stories teach us about recovery and how to stand strong after difficult times. They show us how people find out who they are, even after long journeys and deep divisions. Their shared journey is a powerful lesson in strength and hope. It tells us about being brave and never giving up, even when faced with big challenges. It reminds us that history can shape people in similar ways, even across long distances and different cultures. These two countries are an example of how a nation can rebuild and thrive. What part of Ireland and South Korea's shared story do you think is the most important for people to remember in today's world?
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.